Hey guys, Donavan D. McFadden with the March into More real estate team here at Coastal Realty. I got my partner and co-host with me,
Roger Lee.
and we are back with another podcast. Today we got a phenomenal guest for you guys. It's going to be a great friend of mine, and he brought his colleague with him. It's Mr. Brandon Tynes of Hope Family Support Services.
Greetings, everybody.
And we've got Shannon Monterro. All right. So real quick, we're going to be talking about how mental health impacts our community, and then also kind of relate that a little bit to the real estate industry, and how we navigate this stressful process sometimes, and how we as a team actually work to make sure that it's as stress-free as possible. So without further ado, Brandon, go ahead, tell the people a little bit about yourself. Hope Family Services.
All right, greetings, everybody. My name is Brandon Tynes, born and raised in the 757 area. Been in the mental health field since 2008. Did a little bit of everything from group homes, residential facilities, facilitated anger management groups, been in alternative schools, and now I'm the program director for Hope Family Support Services, where we provide services for intensive in-home, mental health skill building, and outpatient therapy.
All right, nice. Big dog over there.
Yes, sir.
Doing his thing.
Here we go.
Yeah. I did an extra push-up today because I knew he was coming in. Nice. And Shannon, can you tell us a little bit about you? What got you motivated into doing mental health, and how long you've been rocking with Hope Family Services?
Sure. So my name is Shannon Monterro. I've actually been in the mental health field for 17 years. Not trying to show my age or anything like that. And it actually fell on my lap. This is not something that I planned on doing, anything that I thought that I could do, or anything like that. However, when the opportunity presented itself to me, it really came like, very, very natural. And so the interesting thing about this is, let me tell you, is I wasn't educated in this field when I first got in it. Things happened for me opposite. So I didn't have that traditional education of going from high school into college and everything. Actually, I'm a high school dropout.
Okay.
With a GED. I was a teenage runaway, teenage mother, all those things like that. My family did have a plethora of mental health issues. Mm-hmm. So, unrecognizable mental health issues. So, as I got into this, somebody just told me I had a kind face one day. I was waiting tables at a restaurant, and I was about to quit that night because I was so frustrated. And that woman that said that to me really gave me hope that day. And I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I can do this.
Did she give you a good tip?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Good. More than hope, sometimes you need a great tip.
She gave me a good tip, and she gave me her card, right? Because I would have probably threw the card out.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I started in group homes. I started, doing parent aid work, different things like that. When I really started to say, you know what, I'm pretty good at this. My life skills, everything like that kind of fell in. And that's when the school part came important to me.
Okay.
I was like, let me go to school, let me do all these things to support that. So yeah, that's when I got my undergrad in psychology, and that's when I got my master's degree in mental health clinical counseling.
Nice.
So it's interesting because I always say to a lot of people, there's people that can come straight out of college, and I've probably forgotten more than they've known when they walk out, just because of the life experience that I've had. So it was pretty cool. It really worked out for me. Everybody's path is different, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how mine went.
Nice.
And I was really, really excited about it. And it's still going, but that's how I got into this field, So, and it's amazing.
Yeah, 17 years helping out the community.
17,
Yeah.
and 15 of them were out in these streets.
Okay, I was going to ask, have they all been over in the Hampton Roads area?
Yes.
Okay.
All in the Hampton Roads area. I mean, I paid my dues when I tell you that I've been in every project, every street. I'm like, you sure you want me to go down here?
Yeah.
From Suffolk to Newport News to damn near North Carolina. These past 2 years is when I've really been focused on my outpatient therapy, my residency, clinical supervision skills, and things like that.
So I know a lot of people think that it's probably super peachy keen. You guys sitting behind a desk or with a notepad, just feet up, taking notes. But for the most part, from my experience with people in the mental health field, doing outpatient specifically, y'all in the trenches.
Always.
You know, you're right, because you guys are dealing with people who are, you know, we talk about the real estate process, but you guys are dealing with people with real trauma. You know what I mean? Who've seen some stuff, and so you're going out to our Portsmouth area, right? Our Hamptons, our Newport News, and you guys are servicing those communities. What is, and I'm not even reading off my script anymore, but I do want to know, how do you guys navigate some of the stigmas behind the culture and the community, and just providing those services that you guys provide?
That's a great question, and let me say this to you: it has to start with you. You know, because I wasn't aware of my mental health until I got in this field, and I really had to, you know, take a really good, hard, and honest look at myself.
Yeah.
You know, that mask that I wore for many years started to come down. You know, and as it came down, I started to be very vulnerable and all of those things, and I was like, ooh, I don't want to go down this path, right? So it was very important for me to be able to address that and look at that. You know, when we talk about stigma and everything, it's really all about education. There's so much stigma about mental health. Now, nowadays, you know, this generation, I'm so proud of them because they're like, outpatient is sexy. Like, let's go do it. You know what I mean? What? Therapy? Yes. I grew up, however, being raised by baby boomers and everything like that in my Generation X. So it wasn't as
It wasn't talked about. It's not the norm.
Right.
My grandma used to just say, go to church.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Look,
look,
you don't got therapy for it.
that's
You
what I was
crazy.
about to say. Look, you either pray it away, you wish it away, or you ignore it.
Yep. Don't talk about it.
You know, right. You know, we going to brush this under the rug. That's that generational stuff, right? Uncle Bob that's down in the hallway, he crazy. But, you know, ain't nothing wrong with Uncle Bob. Just go give him his breakfast or whatever. Go get him his liquor.
Right.
He'll be all right, you know, and stuff like that. So the stigma is really about education. Just talking about it and talking about it. Because at the end of the day, I mean, statistically, 'cause, you know, I'm always throwing out these statistics and everything, you know. 1 out of 3 individuals are going to suffer from some type of mental illness.
Well, you know, you get sometimes for a man, it's hard to be vulnerable, to express that to anybody. You know, they might not even recognize that they are in a vulnerable position. You know, you got sleepless nights sometimes. They got things going through their mind, not realizing they're on a path to depression. So, how does a man get over his vulnerability? Let me just say that, or has he? First off, you recognized it through your situation, right? What if they don't recognize it? What if they just think this is what it is and this is how they're supposed to live because of their environment? How do they get over that?
It's important to be self-aware. And it's important to have the right people around you who are educating you on different things. As a male, you don't feel comfortable all the time venting and talking to other people. And sometimes you start engaging in negative activities because of it. And so what you have to do is recognize that there's something going on. There's a situation that you need assistance with. You have to go for it, no matter what people think about it around you. If you want to do better, you have to start with yourself. Like for me, my positive coping skill is going to the gym. And I recognized there was something going on. Was it my anxiety? Am I depressed? What's going on? So my first step was going to the gym and kind of just releasing some of that stress. But it wasn't enough. I'm still up in the middle of the night. I'm still waking up early. I'm still having a lot of things in my mind. So the next thing is to talk to someone. And you have to have that trusted person in your life that you're willing to be vulnerable with. You just have to. You have to identify someone that can point you in the right direction.
So when you say talk to someone, and just keeping on with this dialogue, should we be talking to like our friends and family, or is there a point in time when that's not enough? I need to go seek professionals. You know, what would you say is going to draw that line?
I think you can start with your friends and family, but it gets to the point where you don't want to divulge everything. And so that's when it's kind of like, okay, well, no, I might need to go see someone that's not going to be in my personal circle that I can really vent to, who won't judge me, who won't throw it back at me later on when they're upset with me. And so that's a reason why a lot of men or people altogether don't want to vent to people, because then people use that against you. So I came to you in a vulnerable space. I'm thinking I'm talking to my friend, and then you bringing up, some trauma that I had in my life because now we're going through an argument or something.
I agree with Brandon. Look, at the end of the day, one thing I always do before I talk to anybody or disclose anything to anybody, the first thing I think in my mind is, why is this person worthy of knowing what I'm about to tell them? And that's a deep thought, right? Because trust me, there are a lot of people out here that aren't worthy that know a lot about me. You know, so that's one of the first things I think of. Trust your instinct. Because at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. You know, you put it on social media, next thing you know, you're a meme, right? You know, Tyrese, right? He's a meme, right? All that stuff.
I just want my baby.
Right. So what I say all the time is, look, that $25 copay, man, that's the best investment you pay in your life, because you go into a place with an individual, right? Knowing there's no motive there. There's nothing behind that. It's not going anywhere. You can unpack. And that's deep, you know, because I've done that. You know, hey, I'm doing this or I'm doing that, or hey, I'm thinking about taking some, some medicine to kind of help me get leveled and everything like that. One of the first things they'll say if you're in a bad mood, you take your medicine today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Throw it right in your face.
You know, so
I don't even think they know they're throwing it in your face when they say that.
Right.
They probably actually are being concerning, but
Well,
it's
you,
like,
you
don't.
recognize their behaviors. They're like, they're acting erratic, or they're talking fast, or talking too slow, and this is not normal. So I guess you got to take your medication, right? Because what's the point of having a conversation if they're not medicated properly?
Well, it can go both ways. It can be like that. So thank you guys for being positive.
Yeah.
Or it can literally be, did you take your meds today? Like, because someone's gaslighting you or someone's doing something like that, especially if you're dealing with someone else who has mental illness that can turn around and sabotage it or do anything like that.
Manipulate.
Manipulate it. That's a huge one, So, absolutely, seek help. You can't do it by yourself. And you have to know that. Like I said, you can't wish it away. The thing I say about, to people all the time is, look, I can't move mountains for you, right? I can kick over a few rocks for you.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this, you're not alone anymore. And
That's a big deal.
I was literally about to say, like, I'm gonna use that line.
Hey,
when
you
I'm
do
talking
it
about
alone.
clients.
Don't do it alone, because
Yeah.
if you're alone, man, it's you can get into a deep, dark place.
Correct.
And it's so deep you can't get out. Or let me go back. You have the opportunity to get out, you just don't know what to do first. And sometimes you just gotta talk.
So Shannon, you brought up a great point. You said that $25 copay, and in my mind, I was like, $25 for what? Because as a young man, I just assume that mental health therapy, all of the services you guys provide, $100, $150 every time I show up.
Oh, no. So even when I say like $25 copay, that's because I have like a private insurance, right, and everything like that. However, a lot of our services, outpatient, intensive in-home, and mental health skill building, is 100% reimbursable by your insurance company. So if you have Medicaid, and we could of course tell you guys all of those, MCOs that fall under that umbrella. But yeah, you can get mental health does not cost a lot of money.
So ultimately, during the pandemic, a lot of people lost jobs, and a lot of people they couldn't pay their mortgage, and they didn't know what to do. I mean, financially, they had to deal with those stresses, and let alone they had they had families with children, they were more stressed. So obviously, did y'all increase during the pandemic? Did y'all increase some more clients and everything during that time?
Unfortunately, yes. As everything was shutting down, we started to grow. And the bulk of our agency had been kids before. But once you start helping the kids, you understand that you can't help the kids without helping the family. And so we're there and just helping the kids and teaching them positive coping skills and working with their anger. Then you have to talk to mom and see what's going on in that environment. And then you see why mom might be lashing out. She's trying to feed her kids and can't. She don't know what community resources that she has. And so we did increase a lot, and what we did was also started offering more virtual outpatient therapy, and so it grew to the point where we needed a second office, and it was good because people recognized that they could not do it alone. They recognized that they needed the assistance, and they reached out for it.
Nice. What are some of these community resources that you guys usually point people to? You guys do the mental health. Mothers having a hard time feeding their kids. Mothers having a hard time paying rent. What are some of the things you guys direct them to?
So you have social services that will help with your utility bills. You have a lot of churches in the area that will help with food, the food pantries, food banks. You had like the what's the one that does clothes?
Catholic Charities.
Catholic
Virginia?
Charities, and so it's quite a bit of resources. We have a book of resources, and so even if we don't know right off the top of our head, we'll find it. We'll point you in the right direction.
Gotcha. I went to a summit recently, and it was with Glenn Youngkin, our new governor.
Yep.
He had just gotten elected, and he took on like a symposium so people could tell him, hey, what are some things that I could do, during my time. We had quite a few mental health people in the room, and they began to say how you guys are underfunded in a lot of ways from government assistance. Is that true, and are you guys experiencing that?
Can I take this one? Because I'm passionate about this. Yes, it is very true. As far as our private agencies like us, that don't necessarily get government funding. However, when we're talking about resources and all of those things and those wraparound services that we can provide for our children, our clients, adults, and children, they're no longer existing because government funding. What they want to do is they want to cut whenever they're looking for money. They don't want to give after-school programs anymore, right? Mm-hmm. Back in the day, a Boys and Girls Club was on every corner. Mm-hmm. A YMCA was on every corner. Girls Inc. was on every corner. They took those things away. Where do these kids go after school? Mm-hmm. What's happening? So they said, we're no longer going to fund these after-school programs. Well, if you don't fund them, then you're going to be funding public safety. Mm-hmm. Officers, probation officers, all these kids. Because when these kids walk out of some of these doors, and I'm talking back in the day when, I know the St. Paul's Project is happening right now, but even at Swan Terrace and Portsmouth, all those places, they can walk out their front door, walk out their back door, and a drug dealer or a gang member is waiting to recruit them. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. The mother, she's in the house, poor, right? Because the family's already separated.
Yeah.
Because you can't have the father live there with you. Right. So
Preach.
they've already made sure we did that, right? Mm-hmm. So now she's the only thing that she can do is focus on those hierarchy of needs: food, shelter, clothes.
Yep.
Right? She's not emotionally available for these children, especially these young boys and these girls now too, that are getting in people's cars and doing all kind of stuff like that. So, yes, he can indeed put back into the community, build these things back up for us. Because we, as mental health agencies, as private mental health agencies, we can go into the home, we can do all this stuff and everything like that. These kids need more. Mm-hmm. Like Teens with a Purpose is great.
Love Teens with a Purpose.
They are amazing.
Yes.
They should be all over.
Yeah.
They should be all over.
We've seen them at the Mighty Dream Summit. We saw them at Elephant in the Room. I'm loving what they're doing. They just had over at the Chrysler Auditorium, had a little gala. They're doing great things. They just opened up gym, I believe. That's a new opportunity. So yes, Teams with a Purpose, phenomenal. Before we get too far in the weeds, I want to focus on HOPE Family Care Services. What does HOPE stand for? I know how I feel when I hear HOPE, but what does that mean?
Helping others progress effectively.
Bars. One more time. Hoping what? Say it one more time for the people.
Helping others progress effectively.
I like that. Can we keep marching no more at the end of that?
Why not? It sounds great.
I'm just joking. Nice.
Effectively.
And how long have you guys been helping our community?
We are approaching our 4-year mark this upcoming March.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Here's a little clap up for you guys.
Yeah.
Nice. If people wanted to find you, what's a good way for them to reach out to your team?
We're all over. We have an Instagram page. We have a Facebook page. You can Google us. We have a website up there. And so we try to put ourselves out there as much as possible.
I got you. And where are your locations at?
We have 2 locations, both in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, nice.
All right. Well, a couple of things I want to bring up is, personally, we meet people all the time dealing with the real estate industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes when we meet new people, we don't recognize that these people may be going through something. Maybe they tell us what's going on, but they may need some help, right? So ultimately, how does someone who's a friend or an associate recognize these things and approach these people so we can kind of, before they make this big decision on purchasing $500,000 home, we want to make sure their mind is right and they're well ready to purchase, because you got to be ready, willing, and able in the real estate industry. So they may be willing, they may be able, but are they ready? So my question to you all is, how do we approach those people? As we're not licensed.
Okay.
We're how we are
We're not licensed in the mental health.
in the mental industry, but we're licensed in selling real estate. So how do we approach these people, and what do we do next to help them?
So that's a deep question, right? And I don't know if you're gonna like my answer. You know, not everything is transparent as it is, right? People with mental health, let me say this, are very high functioning.
Correct.
They have every right to buy a house just like the next person does. You know what I mean? So you may not be able to tell. Now, one thing I will say is the purchase of a home may just be, right, someone having an episode. Right, you know, there are things where and then later you'll see, but now it's too late.
Yeah.
Later you'll see, wow, you know, they bought this house, they can't afford it, they can't do this, they can't do that. They went and indulged and did this impulse purchase and stuff like that. So I really don't know how to answer that question, because people aren't going to say, hey, I want to buy a house and I'm bipolar and I'm this and I'm borderline. You know, I'm probably going to regret this in 6 months, but you know, I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway.
They'll never say that, but they do give us key indicators, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
so we'll be having a conversation, and the husband and wife are bickering all the time. Every time, you know, and so so Roger's saying we're not licensed, but I think what he was alluding to is we are pseudo therapists sometimes for our clients.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? 'Cause
Right.
they'll be like, hey man, I want this house, and you know, I want it to be this size, and you know, ooh, that paint color reminds me of my ex. Like, and
gets
then we
deep.
get on like a tangent.
Right.
I'm like,
You know,
oh.
30 minutes going by and she's still talking about her ex. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Well, you know, this is what you do, right? You want to always validate people's feelings. That's an important feeling right there. You know, you want to validate their feelings. Simple things that you guys can do. You don't have to be licensed to have empathy and do active listening, right?
Yeah.
But then you turn around and do some education. You say, hey, look, this is when you take it on. Buying a house, purchasing a home is a very big undertaking that could include a lot of stress, a lot of overthinking, a lot of whatever goes through that. I've never purchased a home before because my anxiety won't let me.
We're gonna say not yet.
Anxious.
Not yet.
Right. And then you casually say, but however, you know, call Hope, because they're going to be the ones that can help you, you know, through this journey, because a lot of times this journey is an emotional journey. It's a stressful journey. You want to make sure that someone's there to help you navigate through it.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, you want this purchase and everything to be a blessing in your home, right?
Yeah.
A blessing in your life. There's nothing like, and I can only speak for me as a black woman, there's nothing like having a breakdown or a breakup or anything like that we can build and pull strength from.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a breakup, boom, I'm opening a business. I have a breakup, I'm getting another degree. Oh, you gonna break up with me, bitch? I'm buying this house. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so
And I'm about to post photos.
right.
Yeah.
So those things, right? We reach out for those things because what we want to do is we want to validate ourselves, right? We want to reassure ourselves. That doesn't make all those things in the background go away.
Right.
All it does is actually add to more of my stuff, right? Because I didn't empty my cup. I filled it up more with fluff.
I'm so happy to see Roger taking notes. He's definitely gonna be
You
hitting
know-
y'all back
you know
up.
what I mean?
No, seriously, like the main thing I got is show empathy, right? And active listening. That's
And
the key thing.
I love that, right? Because it directly aligns with our brokerage, which is about caring, and aligns with our team, which is more giving, more community, and more prosperity for all. So everything you guys are saying, you know, sometimes people ask, why are you guys talking about things other than real estate? Because the home is where your heart is, but this world and this community is where you're going to be living. This is your environment, you know what I mean? So we're sowing seeds of where they can go find assistance with, you know, credit or find assistance with mental health or this and that, you know. I want to let people know when you're undertaking a home, and this is a quick tip just related to what you said, Shannon, people do buy houses way over budget. I love seeing you in your fancy car that you could barely put a little bit of gas in your tank. I love seeing you in that beautiful flashy house, right? But I know that once the door closes, you're crying. I don't
Right.
want to think about that. So make sure that you guys are sitting there and you're having a budget conversation with, your lender or your family. Talk to a professional about the budget before you go out and just splurge, because you are going to be in this for 15 to 30 years.
Try to keep up with the Joneses,
Right.
man.
Yeah.
Try to
And when
keep
you
up.
say that, in terms of empathy and all that, help them keep things in perspective.
Yeah.
Because that's always important. Every time I think that things are a little overwhelming for me and I'm all over the place and everything, I have to kind of just sit down, right, and ground myself and put things into perspective.
Yeah.
And that's probably why I haven't bought a home. I've had people all the time. I've got some realty friends and all
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Hey, Shannon, buy a house, buy it. And I'm like, I don't want. I'm not ready to take that undertaking.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to do that. I don't think that my mental can handle being in a big house up first alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who's gonna clean this joint, right?
Right.
My daughter's going off to college. All those things like that. So you're right. Nobody thinks about all of the things that go into the purchase,
Yeah.
of a home. And those are very important. So I'm glad that you guys said that. That it's not just that. If that was the case, everybody would.
Because one of the situations I came in across was somehow my client had a couple triggers during the whole process.
Okay.
I mean, triggered like the sky is blue, and she just called me out of nowhere and said, "Oh my God, the sky's blue." I was like, yeah, that's how it always is. So I don't know. It's just one thing, and then I realized later on that her relationship she had with the guy she's supposed to buy a house with, it fizzled away. I found that out after we closed on the house. So it's like one thing led to another, and I just listened the whole time. So I don't know what was going on with her with that situation. I know this though: when she actually bought the house, I realized there's some deeper things that happened. And when we closed, she was in tears.
Wow.
And then she expressed some unfortunate things that happened a year earlier, around that same time that we closed.
Yeah.
I don't think she wants to express it right now, but that's it.
No, yeah, don't do that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I realized that we make a big impact when we just use our services. And I realized that she was going through something the whole time, which is why she was giving me phone calls till 10, 11 o'clock at night, and then calling back up at 7 in the morning, asking me the same questions. But I understand she was going through something. And I just, I try to,
Well, next time hey, call Hope
Call
Family
Hope.
Services.
Hope Services,
You know what I mean? Hit up Shannon, hit up Brandon.
Right.
that would
Yeah.
be dope.
Nice.
So,
So real quick before we get out of here, I want to know, you were talking to you too. You guys have 2 offices. How big is your team? How many resources are available to people? Are you around the clock? You know what I mean?
All of the above.
Okay.
Right now, we're continuing to grow. We have grown pretty big. We have a big presence on the peninsula side, and so we are even thinking about opening an office on that side. We have a lot of resources. We work with a lot of teachers, school counselors, and there's a great need out there. A lot of our children have not recovered from being at home in March 2020, and their social skills will show you that. So you can look at the academics and maybe they're doing okay with that, but they don't know how to talk to each other. That is why you're seeing so many more fights, the arguing that's going on, the social bullying that's going on. It's horrible. And so our team continues to grow. We have 2 offices here. We're looking for that 3rd. We just hired 2 new therapists. We're still looking to grow that office. The 2nd office right now is just all therapy. It's 5 of us over there.
Yeah, there's 5 of us.
Mm-hmm. And we're looking at about 2 more in that office. As far as the QMHPs, which are the counselors that go out in the home, we're about at 32 of those right now, and so we're growing. People are recognizing that they need assistance in the mental health field, and they're seeking it, and so we want to do everything we can to help meet that need.
So now with all this, you're doing a lot of great things, and you are dealing with a lot of different people. You're actually taking on, in my opinion, you're taking on their burden, right? And you're listening to them all day. You're showing empathy. You're doing active listening. What do you all do to release and relax? Because I know you must be in a high stressful environment, right?
We know Brandon going to the gym.
So what do you? Brandon's going to the gym.
Yeah.
Tell me, Shannon, what are you doing to relax?
Oh, man. Okay, so you're right. It is very stressful. There's a saying that a therapist without a therapist is a damn fool. So one thing is I go to therapy.
Okay.
And I love my therapist. And I do a lot of self-care. I get my massages. I have a membership at Massage Envy. I get facials. I like to cook. I like to garden. I hang out with my 18-year-old daughter. She's like super dope. You know, so she's my mental health skill building support system right there. You know, we like to talk about positive coping skills, right? And negative coping skills. Now, there's sometimes I'll just shut it down and I'll fade to black on you for like 2-3 days. Phone's off, everything like that. Now, does that work long term? No. But it works for that moment. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to do anything. Because after I leave my 9 to 5 and everything, and then I go down to the outpatient office, and I'm there till 8, and then I go home, and Emma's like, Mom, it's a problem, and all this stuff. And, you know, after a while, you know, it spins and spins and spins, you know. So, you know, occasionally I like to, you know, go on my deck and drink a glass of wine and chill.
There you go.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Put on some soft music, soft jazz.
Right. I have a record player, so I have vinyl, you know, and I just chill. And, you know, and I tell people all the time I work real hard. So what I do is any good day I make great.
Okay.
You know, so you have to have balance.
Absolutely.
Or you will burn yourself out. And there are people in this field, you know, I say it all the time, the day that you can no longer celebrate with your families or mourn with your families is the day you shouldn't be in this business anymore.
Right.
And there are a lot of people that are still in this business that, you know, probably should have left a long time ago. So know how to reinvent yourself and know how to have that longevity in it. And have fun, you know, celebrate the small things in your own life.
There you go.
Everything like that. You know, I go home on a bad day and I just hug my daughter a little bit tighter, you know, and I'm like, thank you for being such a good kid. You know
So it's okay to have a bad day.
Oh,
And
yeah.
You will have a bad day.
You will have a bad day, absolutely, you know, and you can go home and you can scream and, you know, scream it out, do whatever, you know, and recover, you know, but make sure that you have those tools because if you can't take care of you, you can't take care of anybody.
There you go.
Preach.
Woo!
Oh my God.
There it is.
I was literally about to say that. That was a perfect segue.
That was perfect.
Because you guys are doing that from a mental health therapy side. We're trying to help people with their biggest, you know, investment of their lives. And I don't think real estate agents recognize this, but real estate agents need mental health therapy too. We need therapists. You know what I mean? You don't know how many times this right here is probably my therapist, and I'm sometimes his therapist because it was like, boy, this client today, you know what I mean? Or man, this inspector today. People don't know about the back end what we end up doing, but yeah, man. And you're not able to be your best and show up for other people if you don't take care of yourself.
Right.
So remember to do that for all my real estate agents out there who are listening.
Yeah.
And you know, Brandon's really great because I'll knock on his door and I'll just be like, I need a day off. I need a mental day. Can I go home? Can I do whatever? And he's just like, yes. You know?
There you go.
And so he's amazing to work for. And Hope as well. You know, because I'll say this. Hope is the only agency that I've actually worked at. Because there's a lot of them that go, oh, self-care. Oh, you know, personal growth. Oh, this, oh, that. And at the other hand, it's like, get it done, get it done, get it done, get it done.
No days off.
Right, yeah, do it, you know. Hope's not like that. It's just like, hey, you know what? The world is not going to stop. It's going to be here tomorrow. Go home. You know what I mean? And just, you know, soak in the tub, do whatever, you know, and come back the next day. Because, look, at the end of the day, it's not like a regular job. If we worked at McDonald's, right, and we had a day off, somebody else is making them burgers, right?
That's right.
In our absence.
That's right.
But when we're not there, ain't nobody else doing our thing. So we still got to come back to doing that work.
That's right.
Not everybody has 17 years of experience. And
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
The elite.
You got anything for the people, Rock?
Well, let me tell you something to the audience out there. You know, for me, before I became a real estate agent, you know, certain things in my life happened, and I listened to what was happening. Right, a couple of things. Some agents walked into my office one day while I was at work. A couple of other conversations I had with people, and led me into this. And you have your story. You said you kind of ran into this career, right, by accident. So what I appreciate about you all is you actually listen to the universe. So for our fans out there listening right now, listen to what's happening, right? Let the universe guide you into the direction you're in so you can find your career so you can actually be happy for what you're doing.
Yes.
You know, and just don't ignore it. Roll with the punches.
Absolutely.
It's going to be all right.
So we've been working with you guys for a few years now. You know what I mean? Seeing what you're doing. I want to say that to the people so they know this isn't just somebody we met off the street and was like, hey, come be on the podcast.
Right.
You're a great resource. I'm seeing you guys help people. I'm watching you change lives. You're a great group to be around. Thank you guys so much. Is there anything else you want to let the people out there in our Hampton Roads area know about your services, yourself, anything like that?
I would just say to everyone that's listening to recognize your own triggers. It's important to realize what you have going on and when you need that assistance. Don't wait till it's unbearable. We all are going to go through things, no matter what we do, what our job title is, family, friends. Recognize your triggers and manage them before they get worse.
And if you're having a hard time trying to cope, call Hope.
Call Hope.
Hey guys, that's been it for the Marching to More team on the Marching to More podcast. I'm Donavan D. McFadden, my partner,
Roger Lee.
We want to thank you guys for listening to Brandon Tynes and Shannon from Hope Family Services. It's been phenomenal having you guys on. Let's clap it up for them. All right. Remember that the Marching to More team is going to be there with you to help buy, sell, and invest in the Hampton Roads area. All right.
We'll be with you from the beginning to the end
And from that moment forward.